All right, so leading up into the co-main event, we have a nice one more women's great bout
Mhm.
coming up. We have two top 10 ranked fighters in the flyweight division here. We got Jessica I on one end and Joanne Calderwood on the other. So let's start with Jessica I. She seems to be giving some solid cut eye in her Tapology picture, so goes right in the name with her last name. But she's lost two of her last three, and she's looking to get back on track. But if you do look at those two losses, man, they're against some elite competition. We got Valentina Shevchenko and Cynthia Calvillo, so she's going to be looking to get back on track here. On the flip side, we got the Bad Mofo. That's a dope nickname for sure. So we got the Bad Mofo in Calderwood. She comes in with that 14-5 record. She's also lost two of her last three to Jennifer Maia and Katlyn Chikagan. So, elite fighters as well. She has some solid wins under her belt too, including Andrea Lee. So this one's going to be a really tough one to call, man. I think both women have a lot to prove here.
Yeah, so the big thing with Joanne Calderwood, the big story with her was when she took that fight with Jennifer Maia, right? She was actually supposed to fight Valentina Shevchenko, and she could have actually waited out for a title shot. But instead, she was like, she'll take all the practice she can get, and she ended up getting finished in the first round via armbar. We actually bet on Joanne Calderwood that fight. I don't know if you remember, but Maya ended up getting the title shot against Valentina Shevchenko, and we saw how that line went in the minus 1,000 range. So I mean, Jessica I, the one thing I like about her is she's also been active, right? Like in terms of Cynthia Calvillo, you mentioned, that's a really good, fight to base, I guess, a little bit of her history on. I think when you look at what Joanne Calderwood was on pace to do before she kind of hit that brick wall with Maya, it's a little interesting. I think she kind of lost an opportunity there, but she's young. She should be able to kind of regain that back. When you look at the striking, she is going to be the better striker, right? Landing almost, six strikes per minute. I love that. And when you got Jessica I coming in at 3.5 and really trying to just try to mix it up, the takedowns are not much there for either or. I actually think Joanne Calderwood might be a pretty good grappler, but we saw in that fight, like, that is obviously something she's trying to work on. Do you know what I mean? Especially the defense when it comes to deep submissions, things like that. Like that was a tough go, and I know that must have been a heartbreaking loss for her. But for me, I really do like Joanna Calderwood to kind of just make a comeback in this one in a big way.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be a tight one for sure. Where do you see the odds landing for this one?
Yeah, so I mean, if the fight goes deep, I think Jessica I can keep it competitive. I think that's her game most of the time. She loses, either close decisions or she just gets finished, right? So with Joanna Calderwood, like we said, she was on the verge of a title shot. But when you look at who she's lost to, her only 4 losses: Jennifer Maia, Jessica Andrade, Cynthia Calvillo, Katlyn Chikagan. Those are all top tier MMA, UFC women's fighters. Like those are all very high class. So for me, when I'm looking at lines, I have to go draw on the Calder when it comes to that comeback. I'm going to take that kid striking, and I'm going to say a minus. Jessica, you ain't got it, man. I'm going to say a minus 175 for Joanna Calderwood. It's high.
He hits the 50-point range.
These are tough fights, man. This card, that card, this fight, they've all been tough, man. Because, that's why I'm not even getting surprised by some of these lines, because they really concede, even in the shock factor you tell me. It's kind of crazy, man. Yeah, for sure, bro.
For sure. So Calderwood's actually a minus 125 favorite on this one. So it's pretty much as close to a pick'em as you can get.
Yeah, and what's funny, man, is a lot of these fights I kind of just feel like throwing the pick'em card, but I also don't want to make it look like I'm lazy. So a big part of me is really trying to hash out what can separate them. And I feel like for some of them, we've done a fairly good job, but obviously for others, when I threw out that minus 300 line, obviously should have just put a little bit more time in that one. I do apologize, but that's probably my most funniest / way off one ever. So throw me a freaking bone here.
So that was an absolute treat. That wraps up UFC 257. Enjoy the card this weekend, guys. It's going to be a real treat. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit that bell button. Make sure you give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter. All our information is below. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. Anything else you want to touch on, Siraj?
Happy birthday to the GOAT. Peace.
Later, guys.